Let us solve a problem on projectile motion and inelastic collision. The question is, a ball is thrown at an angle of 53 degrees with the horizontal with a speed of 40 meters per second. Coefficient of friction between the ball and the floor is 0.75. Coefficient of restitution is half. Find the net horizontal distance covered by the ball before it comes to rest. So let us draw the figure. The ball is thrown with an angle of 53 degrees. So it will move in a parabolic path and finally it hits the ground at this location. Assume the ball is hitting the ground in this location. So first we can find out the range, okay, where R is, directly you can substitute the formula of range, that is u square sine 2 theta divided by g. Then you can substitute the values. U is given as 40 square sine 2 theta, that can be written as 2 sine theta cos theta divided by g. You can take it as 10, and we know that theta is equal to 53 degrees and sine theta is approximately, sine 53 is approximately 4 by 5 and cos 53 is 3 by 5. So substitute all these values in this, so we get 40 square by 10 into 2 into sine 53, that is 4 by 5, into cos 53, that is 3 by 5. So upon solving, we will get this as this should be 4 by 5. Okay, upon solving this you will get 153.6 meters. This is the range. Okay, so after this much distance the ball again hits the ground. Okay, so after hitting the ground it will again rebound because it will hit the ground with some velocity, and we already have the coefficient of restitution, so you can substitute the formula for coefficient of restitution and find out the velocity of rebound. Okay, so let us analyze when the ball hits the ground, what are the different forces acting on it. Okay, for that we'll draw free body diagram of the ball. Okay, so when the ball hits the ground, the number of forces acting on it is, one is normal reaction from the ground, another is weight of the ball. Okay, and in the question it is also given that coefficient of friction between the ball and the floor is 0.75. okay, for that, should we include the force of friction acting here or not? That is the question. Okay, actually there is no relative motion between the ball and the floor. Okay, you can say that this ball is not sliding against the floor, there is no relative motion. Okay, but one important thing is that frictional force will act even if there is no relative motion, when there is a tendency of relative motion. Okay, so frictional force may act even if there is a tendency of relative motion. How to know whether there is tendency of relative motion or not? For that, look at this diagram. Okay, initially the ball is projected with 40 meters per second in this direction. Okay, and we know that as the ball reaches the ground, okay, it will hit the ground in this direction with the same speed, 40 meters per second. You can prove this. Okay, in y direction the velocity will decrease to the maximum at the maximum height, and again it keeps increasing. In the x direction velocity is constant, So when the ball hits the ground at this point, the speed is exactly 40. Only that the direction has changed. Okay, so here also you can say that the ball is having a velocity. Okay, ball is having velocity in this direction, 40 meters per second. Okay, so can you resolve this 40 meters per second into components? You can also say that this angle is 53 degrees, because initially also the angle made with the horizontal is 53 degrees. Finally also angle made with the horizontal by the final velocity will be 53 degrees. So you can resolve this into components. This would be 40 sine 53 and this would be 40 cos 53. Okay, 40 sine 53 is 40 into 4 by 5, 4 by 5, that is 32 meters per second. Similarly 40 cos 53, 40 into 3 by 5, that is 24 meters per second. That means when the ball hits the ground, it will have two components. One in the positive x direction, velocity 24 meters per second. One in the negative y direction with the velocity 32 meters per second. Why did I tell this? In order to prove that there is a tendency of relative motion. Okay, since the ball is having a horizontal component of velocity when it hits the ground, okay, there is a tendency of relative motion in the forward direction, so friction will act in the backward direction, in this direction. Okay, and once again I'm saying this friction is not acting due to actual relative motion, it is acting because of tendency of relative motion. And once again, when the ball hits the ground, let the time of contact be tau. Okay, and obviously tau is extremely small, it is almost equal to 0. Why? When the ball hits the ground and again rebounds, the time for which it was in contact with the ground is tau. Tau is extremely small. Now we know the coefficient of restitution between the ball and the floor. Okay, so let us apply that formula. For that, this is the ball and this is the ground. Let us mark what is common tangent and common normal. Okay, this is common tangent and this is common normal. Okay, so coefficient of restitution is relative velocity of separation divided by relative velocity of approach between the two bodies. Now one of the body is the ball and another body is ground. Ground is always at rest, so it will be just modulus of velocity with which or speed with which the ball rebounds divided by initial speed. Initial speed with which the ball is hitting the ground along the common normal. This is common normal. Okay, along the common normal, the speed with which the ball was hitting was 32. So 32. This is equal to E. We know that E is equal to 1 by 2 given in the question. Okay, from here we'll get V is equal to 32 by 2, that is 16 meters per second. Okay, this is the velocity with which the ball rebounds in vertical direction. Okay, just after hitting the ground, before hitting the ground, it is having 32 meters per second in the downward direction. After hitting the ground, when it rebounds, it will have upward velocity of 16 meters per second. This is only the velocities along the common normal. Now let us discuss the velocities along common tangent. Generally, we study that the momentum is always conserved, Okay, momentum of the individual bodies, not the system. The momentum of the individual bodies is also conserved along the common tangent. Okay, and along the common normal, momentum of the total system is conserved. But here you cannot say that individual velocities also will remain the same along common tangent. Why? Along the common tangent also forces are acting, external forces are acting. Okay, to the system, friction is an internal force, but if you look at the ball and the ground separately, this friction is an external force to the ball. Okay, and the same friction will act on the ground in the opposite direction due to the ball. So since there are forces in the common tangent direction also, velocities will change along common tangent also. Okay, by how much amount velocities will change, let us see. For that, let us find out the total force. You know that force into displacement. Sorry, we know from the Newton's second law that dp by dt is equal to force. Okay, so from here, change in momentum is equal to f dot t. Okay, if it is for a very small interval of time, then it will be dp is equal to f dot dt. Okay, so here, do we know the change in momentum? Change in momentum is what? We are analyzing this along common normal direction, not along common tangent. So along common normal, what is the change in momentum? That is mass of the ball, which is not given in the question. So let us take m into final velocity. Final velocity in the upward direction is how much? 16, minus of initial velocity. Initial velocity is in downward direction, that is minus 32. Okay, this is change in momentum, that is equal to f dot dt. Dt, we know that the time of impact is tau, f dot tau. Okay, see, this is the force acting on the ball along common normal. Okay, so this will be m into 16 plus 32, that would be 48. Okay, that is equal to f dot t. Now what is force acting on the ball in the vertical direction? Net force acting on the ball would be n minus w, net force acting in the upward direction. Okay, so you can say net force acting in the upward direction would be n minus w into tau. Okay, so continuing here, you can write 48m is equal to n tau minus w tau. Here you need to observe one thing. Okay, this is a finite quantity. 48m is a finite quantity. Okay, on left hand side you have finite quantity, on the right hand side you have n into tau minus w into tau. Now w is nothing but weight of the body. Weight of the body into time is almost negligible, because this tau is extremely small and this weight is a finite quantity. Okay, let us say this weight is, say, some 20 newtons for the ball, and this time is 0.001 second. Then 20 into 0.001, how much will it give? It is 0.02. Okay, 0.02 is a very small quantity, so we can ignore this to be 0. So from here we get n into tau is equal to 48m. Okay, now you may ask, this tau is very small quantities, it is being multiplied to normal reaction also, then why can't we apply this kind of scenario here? Here normal reaction will be extremely high. Okay, normal reaction will be extremely high, so some quantity which is very large into some quantity which is very small, that will yield a finite quantity. Okay, if you are not able to understand this, then let us move from this step with some other approach. Okay, you bring this tau onto the denominator. So you'll get 48 m divided by tau and bring this w here, plus w is equal to n. Okay, now you can see that 48 m is a finite quantity divided by t. T is a very small quantity. Okay, t is a very small quantity. When you divide anything with a very small quantity, this will become very large. Okay, now if you add any quantity to a very large quantity, that very large quantity will not change. Okay, this weight is finite, whereas 48 m by tau is very large. So again here also you can say normal reaction is approximately 48 m by tau, or you can say n into tau is equal to 48 m, anything. So basically what I'm insisting, what I'm saying, compared to the weight of the body, normal reaction is extremely high. Okay, how? From this simple mathematics you can prove this tau is very small, so 48 m by tau is very large. Okay, to a very large quantity, if you add a small quantity, then the total quantity will not change. So this is approximately equal to 48 m by tau only. So normal reaction is this much. So from there you multiply this tau here, and tau is equal to 48 m. Okay, next, so we have analyzed the forces along common normal direction, and we got the normal reaction in terms of tau and m. Now let us analyze the forces along common tangent direction. Okay, along common tangent direction, there is only one force that is acting in the opposite direction to the ball, that is frictional force. Now what is the maximum value of frictional force? That is equal to mu into n. Okay, and we already know n value from our previous discussion. Okay, n is equal to 48 m by tau. Okay, so substitute that here. So we'll get mu into 48 m by tau. Okay, now this force you can write it as rate of change of momentum. Okay, dp by dt. So our initial, this is final momentum minus initial momentum divided by time. Now we already know that time of impact is tau. Okay, so tau, this is nothing but mu into 48 m divided by tau. Tau gets cancelled. Okay, so final momentum will be initial momentum plus mu value we already know, that is 3 by 4 given in the question, into 48 m. Okay, now initial momentum is what? We have taken that mass into initial velocity. Okay, mass into, what is the initial velocity? Initial velocity in the forward direction is 24 meters per second. We have already resolved this initial velocity into two components, vertical and horizontal. Vertical is 32, horizontal is 24. So initial, this will be m into 24. Okay, plus, and one more thing, there should be a negative sign here because friction is an opposing force. So whatever F max is equal to minus mu into n, dp by dt should be equal to minus mu n, because friction is an opposing force. It will always, okay, reduce the relative motion. Okay, so put a negative sign here. Here also, instead of this, we have to place one negative sign here. So here minus 3 by 4 into 48 m, that is 12 3s are 36, minus 36 m. This will be equal to minus 12 m. This will be the final momentum. Okay, you can see that initial momentum is 24 m, that is in the positive direction, whereas the final momentum is in negative direction. Okay, so it is suggesting that the final momentum, because of the friction in horizontal direction, is in backward direction. But one thing you have to remember, friction is a self-adjusting force. Okay, friction will only stop the motion, friction will only stop the relative motion, but friction will never reverse the relative motion. Okay, you never see that on a ground due to very high friction ball will stop rolling and go backward direction. That is never possible. Ball will only stop rolling. Okay, so this suggests that the maximum friction, okay, when it is applied, okay, it is capable of stopping the ball with more velocity compared to 24. Okay, from this what we can assure, the friction that is acting is not equal to this amount, it is less than this amount. Okay, because this is the maximum friction. Okay, so the sufficient friction less than this amount will act so that the final momentum will become zero. Okay, because final momentum should not be negative, because friction cannot drive a body in opposite direction. Okay, so here, going back to the actual question, so when the ball hits the ground here, okay, there is only upward velocity. Okay, that upward velocity we have already found out, that is equal to 16 meters per second, whereas there is no horizontal velocity. Okay, because all the momentum that this ball has gathered when it hits the ground, that momentum is killed by friction. Okay, so there is no velocity in horizontal direction, there is only velocity in vertical direction. So once the ball hits the ground, it will bounce back in upward direction. When it bounces back in upward direction, it will only keep moving in vertical direction, it cannot move in horizontal direction. So the maximum horizontal distance covered by the ball is nothing but this range itself. So the final answer will be 153.6 meters. This is the final answer. If you have any doubts, you can comment in the comment section. Thank you.